Hello, everyone. Today I will be reading Great Uncle Ernest's letter dated March the 23rd, 1917. Before I begin, I would like to show you this palm-sized book titled Infantry Training for Use of Canadian Militia, 1915. This book was amongst Ernest's items that he had returned home with from the war and covers everything from discipline to bayonet training and first aid on the battlefield. So now I will begin. Please note bottom portion of page 1 and 2 has been torn off. Mrs. John Ferrier, Perth, Ontario, somewhere in France, March 23rd, 1917. Dear Father, Mother, and Boys, I received your letter of March 1st this evening when I got back from the trenches, and was very glad to get it, as it is nearly 3 weeks since I had a letter from home before, and I expect I have missed several. I have had no account of Leslie's send-off, and I was counting on hearing how things were done up. It's a lovely evening, and just a grand one to be driving to church, but here there is no place like that to go to. I am almost lonesome for Knox Church at times. I am looking for Lloyd to be quite a prominent man in the church management by the time I get back. I stood the trip up in the trenches pretty fair this time. One of the lads that I have chummed with considerably was shell-shocked this time. We were only up in our dugouts about an hour when he was. By shells I have any time yet, but fortunately there were no casualties where the damage was. Do you know, though, there are times, when I am up in the trenches that I almost like the place. I like going for my breakfast about 5 o'clock, and I feel almost as though I was doing something. I've been fortunate the last few times to be working up with a pretty entertaining fellow, and there are 4 or 5 of us who are together most of the time, and one can't be lonesome. But I don't think there is ever an hour when I am awake that no thought of home does not come to me, and when one has to go nearly 3 weeks without a letter, it makes one feel out of touch with home. When the letters come regularly, one can feel as though he was not as far away, for you have no idea how I do like a big letter from home. I am afraid that Alec must be losing too much time to write as often as he used to, because everyone Mervyn too writes, there's something that the rest have not. Lloyd is developing quite a style in his letter writing, and his composition is splendid. I just wish some of you had a few tall tales to tell on him that he is too shy to tell himself. I think it won't be long until I hear of something. I received a parcel from England last night and a book from Mrs. R.A. Brown. It is that book that you remember Robinson and Andrews mentioned when they were in Perth, Tales of the Trail by F.A. Robinson, and I think it is a pretty good story. I have not any good hopes of that parcel you mentioned in the letter of March the 1st, as the letter of about that time has not came. I think there must be 2 missing. You should be tapped by this time, I suppose. Well, this is the second sugar making that I have missed. I hope to be somewhere about when you start up again. The cows will be starting to milk, I suppose, a while back. I would go all right to be sitting down to a cow now. You will be in bad shape at the factory if you can't get wood, but I suppose it is fitted to run with coal. I got this paper in the trenches before I came out last night. There is a stand there where you can get biscuits and a number of kinds of canned goods. A shell landed only a few feet away the other day, but of course a miss is as good as a mile here. And so Wilfred and Minnie have made it up. I believe they will suit one another about as well as could be, and everybody else can take it as they like. Say, I almost believe that you could tell me a good deal about Pearl, and if you could, you might as well tell. What will Aunt Emma say? Harold is young, and if he does some traveling about, that may change his mind several times yet. He only started there for amusement. There was no word of quitting the nursing the last time I had heard, but like yours, that was a good while ago. I'm not surprised at seeing some difference in her, as she was 17 pounds heavier than when she had started. She is very anxious to have a while in the profession before she settles down. I imagine that Everett's is not very far from me, but I don't know. It is very likely if Jimmy McVitie there had been over here this winter, he would have been used up by now. He was not very hardy last summer, and I have stood more than lots would, and some places were worse than mine. You can't picture the life here for home. But I must close, hoping this finds you well, as it leaves me at the present. I remain your loving son, Ernest. Since writing this, I have received letters of the 15th and 22nd of February. I think you will understand by now why my letters are irregular. Thank you for listening to Reading History with Great Uncle Ernest, World War I Letters. Please stay tuned for next week's video, his letter from March the 26th, 1917.